What's up, guys? Brandon with Strict Vision Athletics. Welcome to this episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. My guest today is Kyle Young. He is the head of business development for Kabuki Strength. We talk about powerlifting, the gym, the experiences you guys are having inside of a public gym, how you can increase your fitness, and how you can best do that using the technologies that they've created at their incredible company. Enjoy. This episode of Becoming the 1% podcast.
Got entrepreneurial. We got some really big things coming.
You have to have the willingness.
It's an A or B.
Try and use it as a tool.
Find who I am. This is phenomenal.
All details make up a person.
It's what we believe in the industry.
I was reflecting back to the other day when Brandon Morgan and I did a whiskey and deadlift photo shoot.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him. We had a lot of stuff to film. Next thing you know, we're 3 glasses of whiskey in. It's after work, right? It's like 6 o'clock at night. But totally. We're pulling 500, 600, 700 pounds. I look over and I'm like, this is a pretty sweet job we got right here. We're on salary, so we're really not getting paid right now, but we're getting paid to drink whiskey and take pictures while we deadlift heavy shit.
Make content and deadlift. Yeah. You guys have an outstanding gig, and your branding is so cool.
Yeah.
I've been a fan of Kabuki since you guys first came on. How old is the company now?
Well, that's a great question. I want to say 2015, but it's hard for me because roots go back deeper than Kabuki Strength. So Elite Performance Center was when I first came across Kabuki, which I think was around since 2011, 2010. And then products came after we moved location. Shoulder Rock first one, Duffalo Bar second one, and then the rebranding of the name came out. So I was an athlete of Kabuki before I was an employee. So again, I was an athlete of Elite Performance Center before we were even Kabuki. So the timeline is kind of blurry for me, but I want to say 2015 was the name of Kabuki Strength.
That is actually a remarkably short timeline
for
the amount of notoriety and incredible design that you guys have come out with. That is a short amount of time to do all of that.
Yeah.
So my compliments to everything you guys have done, and your team is outstanding. How exactly did you find your way from being an athlete to now being a coach? And you are running the entire continued education side of Kabuki Strength. Is that correct? I mean, are you still coaching primarily? Is that your role?
Well, this last summer I actually moved into a new role. So August I moved into Director of Business Development.
Okay.
And I've worn all hats from Kabuki because we are a young company and we've grown so much in a short amount of time. A lot of us wear multiple hats. So to go back, my fitness journey started as just a personal trainer, and I was doing some martial arts and stuff at the time. Got hired on from a local gym. Quickly took over as lead trainer, fitness manager, then took over as club manager, ended up running multiple clubs. My favorite job was always the fitness manager because I could still train a couple people, but I was helping trainers learn how to do it better, and I could see how many lives I was impacting.
Yeah.
So during that time, I was a powerlifter and had a powerlifting team at my gym. Probably 13 to 15 people. I was doing pretty good, broke some national records, maybe my first world record. Had some world record holders underneath me though, and I realized I needed help. And I knew of Elite Performance Center in the area because I had trained there and sent clients there. So I would cross-train there a little bit, and I remember asking Chris if he would coach me personally, which was a hard no because he was building a team. And it's kind of a funny story because I remember shooting him an email, and I needed help on my deadlift. I was like, how much? He says, no. That was the email back. No, period. I'm like, I got money. I'll pay. So I remember responding back, cocky young me in the email, well, I'll pay double. No. I'm like, what is it going to take, right? So I email back, I pay triple. No, come train with the team. I'm like, well, that's all I'm going to get. So I showed up, started training with the team, and it really was, oh gosh, I don't know, probably a year and a half before I really got anything, maybe a year before I got anything from Chris. But I really, from where I was at in my career, I enjoyed the way that the team training went, and this was kind of early on into how coaching started for the company. I walked in, and I saw him, got a nod from him and the elite lifters. It's a pretty good lift for myself, but it was the younger coaches, the newer coaches, not just young, but the newer coaches that were there that started giving me tips and tricks. And then as you could see, I was paying attention and applying that, you get a little more attention, little more attention, little more attention. And that always kind of stuck with me with the way we trained things. And during that time, I wanted to get out of commercial fitness. I was just tired of it. I was actually going to get into real estate sales and coach for Kabuki part-time. So I took that route, made a big life change, had a pretty good salary. So, took 60% loss of my pay, wanted to go down this route. And it was a weird time in my life. My ex-wife at the time, we woke up one Saturday and she's like, I'm done, move out. And it was like 9 years. No counseling, no nothing else. It was done, move out. So I obviously wasn't going to be able to pay rent on or mortgage on the new house that I just bought for investment.
Sure.
So I had to go to Rudy and Chris. I was like, I need another job. And I have to do coaching here and something else, but I would rather work more for the company. So I started doing sales for the company as well because I was pretty good at sales. And then after a short amount of time, I was still coaching some, but took over as the sales manager. We were really growing during that time. I think it was our biggest year, 1 year into COVID. And during that time, I got pulled to become the sales manager, but I was only sales manager for a little bit of time because our former head coach, Brandon Sin, really had big aspirations for coaching and education at that time, so pulled me back to be assistant head coach. So then took over as head coach, took that role on for a little while, done some other cool stuff with the USPA as Team USA head coach. So did a lot of coaching, right? A lot of coaching, but I still maintained some coaching role with Kabuki, but now I'm more into business development, sales, and, the bigger picture, which we have some exciting stuff coming out in the future.
Yeah. You say you had one of your biggest years 1 year into COVID.
Yep.
Do you think there was any correlation to the process by which everybody was, of course, secluded, shut down, and locked into their homes? And what I saw then was the eruption of the home gym community. And in our experience, we saw a lot of people, reaching out for design, reaching out for, hey, where did you get this? We want to design this. Do you think there's a correlation between those two things? Your company's sales exploding and people building their own facilities in their homes?
100%. But it was, what it was like then. Like, you could sell some weights on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, some old beat up rubber weights that
for
are
double what you paid.
Triple.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't find enough fitness equipment, and people were getting anything, putting milk crates full of little dumbbells together to lift, concrete buckets. Like, it got so creative. You could have made money off anything fitness related. I personally think we should have done some more investing at the time and brought on some other stuff on our website and just sold it. But what I really respect about our brand, if it doesn't fit our long-term vision, we're not going to. So we didn't just get containers of cheap weights from China just to make money off the American population. We stayed tried and true with what we did and continued down our road. So instead of just grasping money from everybody, we tried to help out the best we could, but stuck true to our roots.
Well, I can tell you as a avid fan of your company since its genesis and the way in which you have niched yourself in this market, that could not have been a better decision you made not to do that, not to grab the bag. I mean, everybody was doing that. You guys have stood alongside companies like Rogue, like the elites of this industry. Your name is in that category. If you had done that, if you had started mass producing a bunch of, tonals or Peloton type bullshit just because everybody was locked in their home for a couple years, and you guys probably would have made a very, very healthy amount in a matter of 1 to 2 years, like a lot of these companies we saw did. But most of those companies, where are they now? Most of them surged during that time period. Then everybody realized the rest of the world opened, I invested in what is probably a piece of junk. That's not going to meet my long-term needs. I'm probably going to go back to the gym. Or I'm probably going to rebuy, but at a much higher value with a better quality. And you guys staying away from that, and because you guys do not have hundreds of products. You guys have a very, very unique assortment of high quality products that people go to. They're like, I tell everyone every time somebody asks me, where do I go for specialty bars? I'm like, all right, head over here, go to Kabuki. That's where you go.
We appreciate you.
There's, of course, yeah. But the reason that has maintained is because you guys have stuck to what it is you know and what you do best, and have made it better than anyone else. Seriously. So I commend that. Yeah. COVID was a very, very interesting time. I mean, seeing what happened to the industry, seeing what happened to trainers during that time, the amount of people that were looking for work, trying to get in any way. And one of the larger questions regarding this subject matter that we always get is, did you build this because of COVID? Did you build this out of COVID? And I tell them, I'm like, no, we predated COVID about 4 years before that actually came about. It just so happened that there was a time where we were the only open gym in the state for, I think it was probably at least 4 months, 3 to 4 months.
That's crazy.
And that propelled us as well. You wouldn't even believe seeing the just overwhelming demand for a place to train and work out. It really, I struggle a lot with the conversations around this topic, because on the one hand, it was definitely a little disappointing seeing how not healthy most Americans really are. And how ultimately that probably did not help them deal with that particular issue. But I also get a lot of encouragement from it, seeing the overwhelming demand that gym owners had. The gym owners in the Valley, I mean, I know a lot of them personally, hearing their stories of, getting the demand to open up secretly. I'm gonna bring you in. We're gonna go through the back, like people demanding to get
Trash bags on the windows.
Yes.
Speakeasy style, come through the back. Don't bring friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had it relatively easy. I mean, Arizona and Florida were probably one of the two fastest states to open back up once that little weird period in the beginning was done. But I mean, places, California. Where are you guys based out of?
Oregon, Portland, Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
We were pretty locked down.
We were pretty locked down. Like drag you to jail if you opened up in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, there was huge fines. There was. And there was a couple people that were protesting a gym down south a little bit. I can't remember what the numbers were, but they were astronomical per day they were to stay open. Like, even with deep pockets, it would have crushed this gym.
Yeah.
So we closed for our members, but we had such a small member base because we don't make a lot of money off Kabuki Strength Lab.
Yeah.
So much of what we do is outside of the state and even the U.S. So it didn't hit our customers too much because we sent home a lot of our gym equipment. Take a bar, take some plates, do floor presses. Here's a bench. We rented out a lot of our stuff to help our people out.
Oh,
which
that's
was pretty
smart.
cool.
Yeah.
Because it kept them active. But for our employees, it was work, so we got to go to work, and we don't have a lot of outside windows in the lab. Actually, there's none now, so you would never be able to tell there's people training there. But it was our job in our workplace, so we got away with being able to train, which was nice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is nice. And that's not something most people could take advantage of. So it was definitely a weird time. And it's bittersweet because in both of our cases, it definitely propelled business. It made a lot of money for both of us. But at the other hand of the spectrum, you wonder what that really did. Like, what was the impact of that? What does it mean? I think we all kind of woke up to the fact that it's very odd that we can, in fact, just kind of be shut down. That's crazy. I didn't ever think that was. I didn't think that was possible.
Never. I had a home gym, but I expanded it quite a bit. And I've never really used home gym because I'm so close to Kabuki.
Sure.
It's just like if I miss a session or if I don't want to be around anybody, if I'm in bad headspace, I can just go out to the garage and bang something out. I want to definitely expand that, but I never had the thought or the want to expand it personally because I've been in the gym for the last 15 years for an appointment. So what do I need a home gym for? I want to keep that away, right?
Yeah.
But then I expanded it quite extensively and put $20K worth of equipment in my garage myself in case someone says I can't drive down the street and do my thing. No, my thing's right here.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Heck yeah. Oh, well, of course that resounds quite clearly for me and for us from what we've done here. We to shift a little bit toward the business development side of things that I know you partake in. You and I were having a conversation in there that I wanted to continue, which was how do you see the private home space being used for business development for entrepreneurs in the fitness industry, people who want to train? Do you like it? Do you think that's a really viable option? What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, for sure. I actually do think it's a very viable option. But to back up, actually, one of my only complaints as an elite coach in the industry, I've worked with a ton of top athletes, world record holders. I mean, I coach Rudy still. Our masters team is absolutely awesome. I had the blessing of handling Chris Duffin on his last two big strength feats personally. Like, not to talk myself up, but the list of coaching goes on and on and on. The biggest frustration I had when things got locked down is so many people took their business online. Now, the personal trainers who trained at LA Fitness and 24 Hour Fitness, I commend them for figuring it out because they were actively training. My complaint is the people who have done powerlifting for, a year, they've lost 50 pounds in the gym on their way to a 300-pound weight loss, and all of a sudden they're a specialist, even though they have a normal 9-to-5 gym. I'm not knocking somebody's hustle. But it really crushed the industry. A lot of companies that were good at doing that private virtual distance training lost some really good ground because everybody was training and they were doing it for a fraction of what the professionals were.
Right.
And then you get some of these young influencers or age doesn't matter, but some of these influencers are great lifters of multiple sports. They may not be good coaches because they have this following that's blowing up. Everybody wants to train with somebody with similar personality. And that's something we really note, that the in-person that we'll talk about here in these home gym pop-up studios are better because of the community and the personality. So if someone doesn't connect with me and doesn't like my following or lack of postings that I do on Instagram, because I'm not personally very active, they look at somebody else, they're like, I like this dude's brand. I'm going to go with him. He's my same age, or she looks like this or does this. And they may not have the same expertise. So the whole industry for virtual coaching literally got diluted by, I don't know what percent, but I mean, it got flooded with coaches.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And I've seen some horrible coaching and just advice from nutrition to fitness to weight loss. It doesn't have to be strength and powerlifting. Everything, some horrible. So I would actually like to see some of these people, you know, and to go back to Chris, you know, you've probably read his book, and most people that are watching this that know me and know Chris have seen his story and heard about it. But, you know, when he left and it was Elite Performance Center, growing Kabuki Strength, he left his job as a full-time engineer making good money. We had a shoulder rock and a duffalo bar because he chased his dream. And I'm super thankful he did. So are you with the equipment in everybody's lives that we touch. So I would really encourage some of these people, if they're more passionate about that than doing a desk job, do a mini version of what you're doing right here. Start it in their garage.
Oh, yeah.
Make some money. Help their little local community. And then it was so cool to hear the lady here who does the meal prep and the nutrition is actually a neighbor, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know her background because you didn't tell me, but you could have pulled her out of a desk job, and that's further developing fitness, and it's so cool to see in a community. And the gyms that I've seen successful, small garage gyms or huge gyms, bigger is a little bit harder, but the community is such an important aspect. It really is. You have to have the community there. It's so much easier to keep and retain clients when you can build a face-to-face relationship. That's something virtual coaching will never have by default. It just can't. Yeah. So what we're talking about growing here, it has everything you need, especially yours. This place is absolutely beautiful. We have all the toys. We have the space. We have the amenities that some gyms haven't even added yet. The cryotherapy, you know, the cold plunge, the infrared sauna, the massage treatment, you know, the float tank, everything. This is literally what you would see in an epic gym that's, you know, the biggest big box gym right here. And it can be proven that it can be done successful in square footage of a normal house. So I love it. I love seeing it.
I appreciate that. Go ahead.
How'd you get involved with USA Powerlifting?
USPA is the one that I'm with. USAPL is the other big federation. I've competed in multiple federations with the USPA, APF, WPC, WRPF. USAPL is one of the only ones in the States I haven't competed in. I'm probably missing a couple here over my 13 years of competing. And they were growing to be the number one in America, and we really wanted to push our barbells to be the preferred barbell of one of the bigger powerlifting federations. USAPL only uses one, so they're using your standard power bar. So that's great, but there's less business for us, right? There's 3 bars in one and 1 in the other. So we put in a lot of work, mostly because that's where a lot of our athletes and our employees were competing. And it's kind of like how I got my job with Kabuki Strength. I just started, you know, putting in the work, putting in the time, meeting the right people, and being there and out working everybody. And we were grassroots at first to make that happen. And then a couple years ago, we became the preferred barbell of the USPA.
Is that the transformer bar that you're referring to? Is that
our actual squat bar?
Actual squat bar
the
is
competition squat bar.
Gotcha.
The power bar, and now our PR deadlift bar.
What do you see as the difference, speaking specifically to your power bar or your transformer bar? I mean, just straight bar in general and your transformer bar. What do you see as the primary difference between those two? How do you use one to enhance the other? Of course, all competitive lifts have to be done with a straight bar, as everyone knows.
Yep.
But the Kabuki bar, the transformer bar, has a very, very special place in squatting. What do you see that as?
Yeah, so I'll throw the teaser out there. Did you see the email blast or teaser we sent out for the new Transformer Bar X?
No.
You missed it.
Come on. Is there somewhere we can see it?
I don't know where there's any information on it right now. It was just a teaser. So
okay, well, tell us about it.
Offline, I'll give you the more details. But it's super cool. There's a new pad design that we've partnered up with AbMat. It's way more comfortable. So it literally sits on the shoulders versus being round. And we've tried it. So you remember the old... the blue Stingray pads from back in the day, super hard plastic, really small. They had a front squat one and a back squat one.
From your company?
No, Stingray I think was the brand.
You know, I don't think
I've
seen it.
90s, early 2000s.
No.
It was cool for what they did, but it was hard plastic and it was just didn't quite. It was better than nothing for people that want something like that, but didn't quite work.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it reminds me of. We've tested this from 105-pound females to 350-pound males,
Sure.
and it interestingly fits all of them. It's going to be way more user friendly, especially for commercial fitness. So it's super cool. So there's your quick teaser here.
Wow.
We'll chat more offline about it, but. One of the things in my role, whether I'm doing direct sales or just business development, talking with other companies, the transformer bar sells itself if you squat on it. Everybody loves it. You can literally put somebody on there with zero coaching and change their squat pattern and make them squat better just by switching the settings.
Yep.
So it is an amazing bar.
For those who don't know, it transfers the weight in your gait from front to middle to back. Safety squat feature just by itself is an incredible thing for people to have access to when they squat because it puts the weight centered in your gait. Yep. It's not too far in front. It's not too far in back. And again, for people listening who don't really have a background in this, if you are somebody with like a lower back impingement, you may want to stay away from a front-loaded squat. You might put that in the center. Your safety squat bar feature would be the best option for that. Would you agree with something like that?
Knees, shoulders,
yeah.
This bar and that goes to my point, it makes people squat better. So I would say it's the only adjustable safety squat bar, but I think we've had a couple knockoffs. A lot of our equipment's been knocked off from overseas. But
oh, yeah, totally.
I don't know if there's any currently being sold in the U.S. still or if they fizzled out, but we're
I
know
the
top dog on it. So
yeah, it doesn't. Elite FTS has one.
I don't think they have anything that's adjustable.
They don't have is it not adjustable? Theirs has a chain here. The handle.
Yeah, I don't think that one's adjustable.
No?
That was my old workhorse. And the thing is, like, I grew up on those bars, right? And outfitting the gym, there's the spider camber bar. There's like, we've got like 5 super cool safety squat bar variations, but you end up with 5 of them. Especially if you're like a conjugate guy who loves the bar rotation, where ours, you can have one.
And it moves. You can do all your different movements.
So we'll adjust it to multiple bars within one.
Yep.
But back to your original question with that, the difference between our squat bar, which is the strongest competition squat bar in the industry, 55-pound bar, it's big, it's great. I always tell people, if it wasn't for weightlifting, right, for Olympic lifting, whatever you want to call it, if the first competitions were on a barbell like the transformer bar or the Duffalo bar, if that was the first design, that would be what's in every single gym. And the only straight bars would be for competition. How many collegiate athletes and high school athletes and masters lifters and fitness enthusiasts getting into the gym that may be intimidated by lifting weights? This is what they're stuck with. It's not great for your low back. It's not great for your shoulders. It's just not biomechanically sound, but it's a barbell because early on barbell sports were what created the barbell, right? That's what they were known for. Then gyms got more popular, fitness got more popular, and we're still stuck with a straight bar.
And the bars just went along with that development.
Yep.
Every gym in America has straight bars in it. Most of them.
It blows our mind. I think Rudy says it the best, but with his double hemicap shoulders that he's had replaced, there's no reason, and he's still going strong, right?
And he's still going stronger than everyone. When he came in here and he told us his numbers, we're just like, man, can the 3 of us do all that together?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy at his age and everything.
At Worlds, we actually took the all-time world record total for any weight class at 75 years old, 1,300 pounds, tested. This was an untested meet just because he didn't want to travel to Europe for the other one. So he stayed here because it was in Oregon. But we're expecting to exceed that here at Nationals, and we might even try it with no knee wraps and sleeves.
So he's going to do it raw.
Yeah, a testament to Rudy. But the point is he's still getting stronger. And how do we do that? So again, to circle back to your original question, the difference between that bar and a straight bar, we swear if you're not a competitive athlete, and by competitive, I mean in powerlifting, weightlifting, or CrossFit, right? If you're not a barbell competitive athlete, strongman can get away with a lot without it. You should not be training on a straight bar. It doesn't have to be ours. We think ours is better, but go get a safety squat bar. Transformer, we think you're going to like better. Cadillac bar, it's better than a football bar. A trap bar for most deadlifts. It's so much healthier for every human to move that way. And then for athletes who do compete, we have proven track record from a bunch of our people. So again, I said early on, I still do Rudy's coaching. We have him on a straight bar for 4 weeks a year.
and all the rest.
And he's breaking all the records and has been untouched for years and years and years now in his division.
Yeah.
So he just asked me the other day, I think yesterday, he texted me, "Are we still doing this setting on the transformer?" Yep. 2 more weeks, bro. 2 more weeks.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
And then 4 weeks out, we'll switch from Cadillac on bench and transformer squats on squats, obviously. We'll switch that to Duffalo bar. And then for 2 weeks, we switch to a straight bar. So we do.
So you really only hit the straight bar for 2 weeks
And
prior
then,
to competition.
Obviously, that week of, he's resting, he hits his lifts on the platform and walks away.
Yeah.
That's it. Competing twice a year, 2 weeks. So 4 total weeks on a straight bar. Deadlift, we do some trap bar. We do a lot of our PR deadlift bar deadlifts.
Yeah.
And so for listeners that, don't know these different bars we're talking about, our curved bar that's specially designed for bench, it's just better for the shoulders. And this proves, even if you're a competitive athlete, you do not need to lift on the same tool that everybody's been given for so long.
You're a testament to that. The Cadillac bar for your shoulders, because you have a bad. What did you do again? What did you do to your shoulder? I don't even remember.
Fell on it
on
a
it
long time ago.
Down the stairs or something.
Yeah. So,
But it helped. What?
I think you're breathing. I don't know if it's you or Jake, but I think you're breathing into the mic.
I am.
Like pretty loud.
oh, might have been me.
Okay, just
Sorry.
one of you. Sorry, keep going.
We've got the
I just
that's the
couldn't- I
transformer
kept
up
hearing
there.
it.
That's a good advertisement for it though, because he's using it in a way that requires no hands, or at least one of his arms is hurt. At least it looked like that in the video.
So
Yeah.
Joe here probably right after bicep surgery on one of these videos.
But to my earlier, I mean, your shoulders have been basically restored through bench press using the Cadillac bar. The Cadillac bar, which was a later iteration, if I remember correctly, it came after the transformer and after the trap bar.
Yeah.
Cadillac bar came last. Is that so far last?
In our specialty lineup, yeah.
Yeah, I put what you're saying is music to my ears, because it is literally how I periodize all my new clients. Anytime my clients go through the first or second meso, now it's time to actually hit some multi-joint movements. We're going to go with a bench. We're going to do squat, bench, dead. We're not doing that with a straight bar ever. They're doing it with your bars.
Yep.
Because it gets them used to firing those muscles, gets them used to the movement patterns, and it does it in a non-invasive way. I know for a fact my clients are significantly less likely to tear their rotator cuff if I put them on the Cadillac bar to do bench press than if I just
Can't do this.
threw them on the straight bar and said, okay, we're going to bench.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's, to me, that is like my favorite. Is it him? It is him,
Yes.
isn't it?
Oh, is it me? Sorry.
Yes, you need to move the mic.
But yeah, it's a testament to what you guys have made. I think, I mean, that alone is worth people having a understanding of what it is that Kabuki Strength is.
Yep.
Just if you are trying to avoid injury, which ultimately, as we get older, I mean, how old are you now?
Just turned 40.
Congrats, man. That's outstanding. You're looking great. I mean, we're all getting through our 30s, going into our 40s, starting to realize we're not invincible. And, by now, I'm sure you've had a couple injuries under your belt. Probably had to deal with them. What has been your worst injury thus far? Have you had anything that...
We actually went through our anti-fragile campaign, and I wrote up all my injuries. And I was like, I don't know if I want to tell people this. Doesn't make me sound very good as a coach. But I was a knucklehead before Kabuki came along. I taught myself how to lift in multiply, single ply, pretty much by myself with no training partners. I was just like, let me order shit off Elite STS, and I don't know, this will help my bench, right? Let's see how this works.
Yeah, figure it out.
Came from a fighting background as well. So the biggest injury, not lifting related, but it actually started from a car crash, was herniated disc and low back. And a testament to Kabuki Strength's principles, because I had back issues and problems and dealt with it and got stronger and stronger and stronger every year and lifted some great numbers, broke some cool records, had some issues, like it was never 100%, but it never really got worse. And then as we age, I woke up one morning and the disc had blown out. So I went to sleep. It was like the least cool backstory. I went to sleep. I woke up and my disc completely ruptured.
Wow.
And talking with Dr. Snell, who's treated all of us there at Kabuki Strength Lab, awesome. We're looking at my back x-rays and I was like, you probably could have sneezed and it was going to go. Wow. I don't know how you've done what you've done for so long. Like it was hanging on by a thread. Wow. So that was year and a half ago, 2 years ago, had to have back surgery. I've torn a handful of muscles, broken a lot of bones fighting and doing other stuff, but no surgical reattachments. So that was my first big time of slowing down lifting and training and going, wow, again, I'm not invincible. So
what is, on the topic of slowing down and training responsibly, because it seems, speaking on any multi-joint movement, but especially I think the deadlift, you're somebody who's dealt with a low back issue. A lot of times deadlifting is the culprit behind that. At least it seems like if an improper deadlift is performed, you can end up with a bulging disc, or at worst a herniated or ruptured disc. Sometimes there's people. I believe it was Brian Oberst. I'm sure you heard he made a comment a year or two ago where he said, if you're not competing and doing deadlifts, don't deadlift. And he kind of just left it at that. And I'm pretty sure he went back and sort of maybe edited what he meant, because I would disagree with that blanket statement if that was in fact what he said and meant. What's your take on that? I mean, if somebody is scared to do a big lift, or even just perform a big lift at a lighter weight, if they're scared to do deadlift, squat, bench, dead because of an injury or because of one that might get caused from that movement, how would you advise them to start?
That's a great question. So education. Coaching, education, there's so much coaching out there. We talked about it. So
right.
If you're getting coaching, make sure it's from a good source, reputable. It doesn't have to be ours, but make sure it's a good coach. But there's so much education out there now. I mean, we have our education website, and again, not to just push all of our products, but this is why we do what we do at Kabuki. If you can't afford coaching, we want to be able to provide you the education, the videos to do things correctly. Mm-hmm. But before that, I would highlight the right equipment. So if you can deadlift well with good form on a straight bar, whether it's a power bar or a deadlift bar, go ahead and do it. But if you're not planning on competing, get on a trap bar. It's just more mechanically advantageous. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot closer to how we actually pick up shit in the real world.
Right.
So I have a lifter, Linda, who started with me at 71 years old. And this is about the time I started with Kabuki. And she's a great testament to, everything that we do, just making the world a better place through strength and helping people as they age. Mm-hmm. She was never, did some workouts before, probably some, aerobic classes and some stuff like that. Was fit, was active, was not a weightlifter. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not like we have a background, no bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, none of that.
Your basic gym goer.
Gym goer.
Yeah.
And I think had a break from the gym, before being 71, had some real bad stuff going on her neck and nerves, and was told by doctors she would never be able to lift anything overhead again and should never lift weights, and had to have surgery, was not going to be able to be successful. And there's some doctors out there like that, but
we love to hear that.
Yeah.
Somehow she found me, I think from a newspaper article or online article at the time, and came into my gym and did a consultation with me. I was like, well, here's what we can do, but you're going to lift weights. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to hold your hand. Here's how we're going to rehab you. And she bought into what we were saying, and then she started lifting, and I remember coming in, she couldn't pick up a bar from the ground. So barbell on the ground, no plates on it, but could not bend over and pick it up.
Sure.
Was not bench pressing. We were not overhead pressing, just like doctors said. Fast forward 2 years, I think even, and we were working in the gym one day. I was talking about a competition I had and was going to break a national record. She asked me what the numbers were. She said, well, what would be the numbers in my weight class? So we looked it up, and she was doing weights above that for reps. And she's like, could I compete? I was like, let's do it. Fast forward now, 80, she'll be at Nationals, USPA Nationals this year.
That is so cool.
Took a little break during COVID just to stay safe at her age and whatnot.
Right,
stayed home, was a little worried about it. But she's broken, in 3 or 4 different federations, over 100 world records, national records, from 72 to 80, and is still going. Her best competition deadlift was 226, I think, at 77 years old. Jeez. And she's not a big human. She only weighs in the 130s, 140 pounds, competes at 148 or under. And This was somebody, doctors said, you can't lift, you won't lift. Right?
You need surgery.
Yes. And Did she
get the surgery?
No, she refused.
No,
she
refused. So she got around the surgery, rehab, competed.
By competition. She competes, but by our big 3. And that's where I hesitate, not knowing the context of what we were talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. I would say, no, that's just me. You come to me, you ask for my help, you're going to deadlift. You're going to press something. You have shoulder issues. You don't have to press competition pauses and this, but you're going to press a dumbbell. You're going to push something overhead. Because in life, like I told her, I explained to her, well, how you live alone, your kids can come over and help you, but how are you going to get something off that top shelf? Mm-hmm. And when you drop something, how are you going to pick it up? I don't care who you are. It's a deadlift.
Yeah.
You don't have to rep twice your body weight. That's fine. We can do circuits. But if you're moving your body weight for reps, I think that's a comfortable place to be at any age. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it can be a trap bar high handle, but we're going to move load. Mm-hmm. And we're going to do it in a good biomechanical position. And honestly, she's had a couple of tweaks and sprains. She's got a knee that's really angry. There's torn meniscus from being 80 years old from life.
Of course.
Never had surgery on the knee, can still squat to depth, and has had no major injuries while training with us.
Wow.
So it's a testament to not only what we teach at the principles of just good basic human movement at Kabuki and the equipment that can keep people getting stronger as they age.
That's beautiful. And I think it really does sum up so incredibly well the term anti-fragile that you guys have coined so brilliantly.
It does. For
It
sure.
does, because you immediately read that, and that, I don't know, it resounds with me. Nobody wants to be fragile. Doesn't matter who you are. And as we get older, I think that becomes more and more evident that, hey, time is not really on your side. You're aging. And if you aren't taking steps to exert yourself, like really exert yourself, then time is going to win in a way you're not going to enjoy. We're all going to go. We're all going to die at some point, but it does not have to be in a walker, hunchbacked, unable to go up the stairs, unable to reach the top shelf.
Take care of ourselves.
We can be anti-fragile into our 70s, into our 80s. I think that is probably my favorite thing. It's hard to pick one thing because you guys are doing so much incredibly. I love the older population success that you guys have had.
Me too.
And see, I love that. There's not a lot of other companies that I have seen showcase that in such a remarkable way. And I think, like you mentioned, it's a testament to your principles, your coaching, and the equipment that you use. The equipment that you use is so huge in any setting. I tell people my job here today is easier now than it's ever been in my entire career. There is more technology, more toys, more stuff out there. I can get anybody the success they want safely with way less effort than I had to do 8-9 years ago.
Yep.
Like now it is way easier to be a coach today than it was back when I first started.
Especially here in this gym, because we have a solution for every problem. Every problem we have a solution for. If we can't figure it out there, we shouldn't be doing this anymore. We got to hang up the hat.
And I love getting in guys who are so high up in the fitness industry because you get it. You go in there and you actually have an appreciation for, there is everything that anybody could ever need in there. If you're not in the industry, everybody thinks it's cool, sure.
Yep.
But when you're really in it and you go in and see all that, you hit the nail on the head. You're like, there's $1 million in here. Like, I know what's in here.
Easy. We were talking about, all the painting and murals and how this place is just decked out perfectly and how much time that took. But I'm wondering if me and you went through workouts every day and skipped our regular training program because it wouldn't work. But if we just played with every single toy and handle and attachment and different variation out there, how long would we be busy for before we were able to rinse and repeat?
I don't know. If I could,
I don't know how to quantify it.
I don't either. I can tell you. I mean, because I suppose the only person that would be close to qualified to answer that, but probably would be me because I write the periodization. I mean, I can tell you that if you go on 3-week mesocycles, you will not touch the same piece of equipment twice if you rotate it in 1 year, but easily. Like 1 calendar year of going at 3-week intervals with the same ones going up in linear periodization, you are going to have new movements with a new attachment every time.
Yep.
This is truly that much volume in there. And that's great. Again, it makes my job as a professional easier. It makes the success stories easier to come by. And I feel like the clients can appreciate that once they get their hands on it and they actually start to get familiarized with it, they appreciate it. But someone like yourself who's in this industry, you appreciate it right away.
That's one thing I think the commercial industry misses. And I get that, we were talking about, imagine if this was a commercial gym, big box gym that had all that, it would be the most expensive gym in the entire world. It would. There's just so much equipment that you could put into one. So they're usually going to save on costs and just get your basic attachments and your basic straight bars. But it's not comfortable for the person. There's not options for the trainers when an injury happens, when they need to switch gears, but still keep them in that compound movement. And that's where we're super excited, in my role from a business development standpoint, to be able to bring these to a more commercial gyms. That's another big thing we're talking about. And we're talking about military earlier. A lot of military has our bars, but, with how much money's in the Department of Defense, it does our soldiers a disservice to give them the cheapest barbell that they can find that the contractors can bid on. When we're like, trap bar, transformer bar. Like they're killing themselves and beating their bodies up for our country.
These are the first responders.
Please give them a little bit better equipment to use.
Amen.
And there's a lot of our equipment that's getting out there, so it's getting there, and commercial fitness is too. But I'm just super excited to. That's what I love about my job, to continue to push that equipment in those arenas and others. Really, so we can give people the best experience, because a lot of people, as you know, if they don't have that personal touch with you or their trainer at 24 or wherever, they get intimidated by all the options. They don't even have all yours. And some of the movements are uncomfortable and they don't want to do it. It's not a comfortable, fun experience. So when they can enjoy the movement, like you benching with a Cadillac, I can finally bench better. My shoulders feeling better. I'm enjoying this again. It
Yeah.
makes it so much better.
It does. Absolutely.
Speaking to all the different areas that Kabuki has their hands in, where do you see the biggest opportunity moving forward?
Fitness. And I don't like to use that word.
Yeah.
Hate the word fitness. But
It is a little all-encompassing, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's really where my mindset goes, because it's unfortunate, if you look at, my social media page or Kabuki's page, you see Chris, watch him squat 1,000 pounds for 3 reps, watch him deadlift it, watch him do these big, amazing things. The top strength and power lifters and, football players are endorsing our equipment. They look at you, you're a big, strong guy. They know you can lift weights. Somebody just getting started, they're like, well, that's not for me. I'm just going to go to the gym and do the little machine. It's like, no, that is for you. So I'm excited. That's why I talk commercial fitness, expanding our customer base. And it's not just for revenue for us. Of course, we want to make money. And there's a bigger group of people in personal training and just general fitness and well-being, but they need help because they don't know what they don't know. And they don't know how to move correctly yet for most of them. So when we go and really broaden our scope outside of just strength athletes, I'm really excited to see where that goes to make our country a healthier place outside of our military.
I also think that it's a conversation that needs to be had with the managerial staff, the owners of these big commercial places, because in my experience, what I've seen, because you guys are, I mean, your specialty bars, you guys are primarily dealing with the big three. The squat, bench, dead is something you guys are teaching how to do correctly. Most commercial spaces are doing every single thing they can to stay away from those three movements.
Yep.
A lot of places don't even have a deadlift platform. They don't want that. Because, it's loud, it's dangerous, people get hurt. From a commercial standpoint, they're like, no, I'm going to put a machine here instead. I'm gonna get these people doing leg press instead of deadlifts. It's significantly safer. And that sucks because those movements, everybody, we did a podcast maybe 6 months ago where I made the comment that went really viral where I said everybody needs to be a power lifter. I don't care what
I saw
you
that
are.
one. Yep.
Yeah.
I loved it. I smiled.
Yes. There's a lot of truth to that, and I think that became evident in the way that the audience interacted once I said it. Everybody needs to be doing those lifts. You shouldn't be doing them the way Brian Oberst does them, but you need to be doing those movements. And if you're at a gym that doesn't encourage that, or even worse, discriminates against you if you do, I mean, there are those clips all the time I see on some of those pages where people are getting thrown out of their gym for deadlifting, or they're even worse if they're doing like a clean or they're doing a snatch. The manager will come kick them out. They're like, "Nope, get out." And a lot of times, again, I understand the reason why that policy is implemented. At the end of the day, the commercial gym does not want a lawsuit. They want to get the most amount of people in there they possibly can, and they have a business model that doesn't allow for that type of risk. But that's doing a big disservice to the person who's coming in there, as you just stated. They want to get healthy. That's ultimately what they want, is fitness.
Yep.
Are they going to get that inside of LA Fitness? Probably not, despite what the name says on that title. Unless that gym changes and starts to implement some of the stuff that you guys are doing with Kabuki.
Yep. I used to co-own and run a CrossFit gym in Portland as well. And it just really wasn't my cup of tea. I wanted to do it because I thought from my coaching brain that I could do it better. But I realized I was swimming upstream against a culture that I supported and I was part of, but I just wanted to lift heavy shit, and it really wasn't for me. And it was really hard trying to do it better because, if we were limiting somebody on teaching them a kipping muscle up, I was talking with Rusty about this yesterday while driving around Phoenix. We wanted them, I learned muscle up strict first from my coach. He was actually coaching for us. He made me learn strict muscle ups, and I could get up to like 3 or 5 with a 35-pound kettlebell, and I didn't even know how to kip into it.
Good for you.
My buddies are like, "Bro, you can do like 20 muscle ups." I'm like, "No, I can do 5 with a 35-pound kettlebell." And they're just like mind blown. So we tried to transfer that to our athletes, and we're like, "You're not ready for pull-ups. You need more eccentric. We don't want you to get a shoulder injury." Next thing you know, some of these young ladies and guys, we'd see them on other CrossFit boxes. I got my first kipping pull-up, and they were so happy. And we're like, 3 months later, their shoulders are all jacked up, right? Yeah. So, there is some of that culture. And so we had to adapt and kind of refine to give them a little bit of what they want and as much of what they needed as possible. So I'll never knock CrossFit because I used to be part of it. I disagree with a lot of their programming and other things. But why I won't knock it is because it brought so many people off the couch to a community who wouldn't have lifted.
Yeah.
Yes, community.
They did something no one else did. A lot
Community,
of
again.
lifters
Yeah.
will knock Planet Fitness. I might call them Planet Purple, but I'm not going to knock them. They're targeting to people that are not comfortable to come lift around me. And I'm so happy they got them to get on a machine. I hope they get into a gym and learn to squat without a Smith machine.
Yeah.
But if they never do, aim into them because they're helping somebody that was not comfortable to walk into somewhere else. But there's so much room in commercial fitness, to go back to your point, where, you know, we're starting to see, we were in 24-hour fitness the other day. And, you know, I remember when I was training at 24-hour fitness, and it was a huge club, and they had 2 squat racks, and that was it. The one I walked into in California the other day, they had 8, and there was a line for them. The treadmills were empty. The machines were 50-50, the hammer strength or whatever they're using, right?
Yeah.
And there was a line for these 8 racks.
Wow.
So it's starting to shift that way, where we're working with some of these bigger companies because they know it doesn't have to be powerlifting. But I agree with you, it's a big 3. To go back to Linda, that's what I told her. You will squat, you will deadlift, or pick something up, and you will push and you will pull. I don't care which direction you push in, but you're pushing on something, because you have to open a door and you have to close the door. Let alone, I think what most people are missing, going back to aging with machines, is bone density. I don't know what Rudy's exact numbers are, but they're off the chart.
I
Yes.
remember we
Yeah.
talked about that when
Yeah.
we came in.
Linda's,
Like
her
a
doctor,
25.
can't figure out why an 80-year-old female has the bone density level.
Did she
as
ever go
hers.
back to that doctor that told her she should never lift again? and she
I
needs-
wanted to go. I was gonna.
You should have gone.
I was gonna go over there with her.
That would have been a hell of a piece of content. If
Yep.
somehow you could like film that interaction and like see his reaction when she comes in and holds the record for her age.
Yeah.
She should never lift weights. Oh, here she just deadlifted 226 pounds.
That's crazy, by the way. I mean, that's to do that much at any age, even especially as a female. That's 2 plates, man. That's off the ground. That's impressive.
Yep.
That's incredible, man. No, dude. Thank you so much for coming in and
Yeah,
having
my
a
pleasure.
chat with us. This was just so incredibly cool. If people want to get more information on either you or the principles of movement, anything you guys are doing, where would they go?
Yep. So 2 pages. Our main page, kabukistrength.com. You'll find everything. You'll find our education website on there as well. You know, for gym owners who are looking for equipment or need advice with coaching, on my Instagram, there's a link tree where you can book a call with me. So Instagram, you can book an email with me, book a session for a call, or just information directly off of our website. We have so many resources. You know, if they're not following us, Brandon Morgan, Chris Duffin, the whole crew, you'll see a lot of our stuff reposted. Rudy as well.
Rudy
So
Cudlib. No, and ending with this, I can say that I do not blanketly endorse a lot of companies. If it exists on Kabuki's website and you can get it. These guys do not miss, and I've been a practitioner and a user of you guys' products since your start, and I cannot say that enough. You guys have done an amazing job.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. That circles back to, when we were talking about grabbing fistful of money during COVID. And there's so many companies, I'm sure you get stuff sent to you all the time to try out. There's so many companies that are like, hey, will you sell this for us? And we stay very true to our principles. It doesn't fit with our mission and our long-term vision. We're not going to just push some product. You can go to Amazon and buy any fitness product you want to. It's totally fine.
Yeah, 100%. All right.
Appreciate
awesome,
you.
guys. Good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
My pleasure.
We'll cut it right there, buddy. Thank you guys so much for watching that episode of Becoming the 1% podcast. If you like the content and you want to see more of it, hit the like and subscribe. Activate that notification bell as well. We really appreciate it. If you guys want to see more of it, we actually have the Becoming the 1% Instagram, and the podcast is available on Spotify. For our socials, we have Strict Vision Athletics on Instagram, we have it on YouTube, and we have it on TikTok.